Hello to you all people from all around the world, from different nationality, different language, different race. And so I'm going to cover some material from the previous video, which was ingredient inspection. So, for example, was nuts. I chose walnut to show you. And so when you go to the store, you see a walnut just like this and looks good, and you don't know how to inspect it or is in the package. So if it's a bulk, so you pick a few of them, then this is how you test it. This is a low quality. As you see, the center of the walnut is a kind of beige. I'm going to bring another one to show you. This is a little bit better, okay? And I'm going to show you the good one. This is, you see the difference between, let's say, this and this, okay? So you see, the one on this side is brighter, the one on this side is kind of beige. And that's how you check it. This one is a good one. So brighter is better, because this one is it starts to get oxidated, and I've seen some case even is darker than this. So sometimes if it's in this situation, in order to detox it, or basically, if you watch the water hydrology section or the water therapy, I brought you the Kangen water, which is the pH of it is high naturally, not chemically. I have to describe this. Some high pH water they sell in the market, which no matter when you buy it from the market, the pH always is up, like a 9.5. Those are chemically, they brought the pH up by changing the chemical of it. For example, if you add bleach into the water, the pH comes up. So that's not a good way, because we don't want to put in the bleach or something like that in the body to bring the pH up. The natural one, the pH is high, like a 9.5, and within a few days the pH starts to go down. That's the good one. This is the reason we buy the machine to make it, so it turns it to a rainwater. So I used Kangen water to detox that walnut, and as you see, the color of the water, it had no color, and now it turned to yellow. Okay, why? Because it's detoxing the walnut. So I'm going to bring walnut out from this, and to show you the difference between the color of this and the color of the walnut I show you, okay? And when a walnut is not oxidated, the taste is better. At the same time, it doesn't give you any allergy. If somebody has allergy or something like that. So this is the fresh one from the water I just pulled out. As you see, is pretty white. And this is the one you buy from store. So it's like a day and a night. And then in your digesting it will be much easier. and your body understands it and doesn't oxidize your body. So if somebody don't know about the water, please go back and watch that video carefully, because it's really important. You can detox all of the nuts you buy with this water if that nut is not really deeply oxidated. This is the reason this section is important, because choosing ingredient. Some pumpkin seed I bought and it was organic in the package. I came home and I started to eat it in front of the TV or something like that, and then 1 out of 5 was bad, was tasting bad. Then I found out, yes, they mixed the nut from 2 years ago with the fresh one, so it's like a cheating. So this is the reason. First of all, the nut has to be not oxidated by inspecting it just like that. And to be safe, you soak it in the Kangen water just like that. Then you dump that water. I'm gonna do it right here. Then is this. So this, as you see, the center of it is white and is delicious. Look, this is white, and this is the oxidated one. Look, the color is like a day and a night. So obviously the taste is different, and the affection on the body is different too, and it's much better to soak it in the Kangen water. No matter you want to eat it just like that, or you make a food with it, or you put in a salad or whatever. So first has to detox it first, then you use it for whatever purpose, bakery, pastry, cooking and such. And I'm going to move on to FDA, or Food and Drug Administration, which most of the country have that. So people buy whatever they want from store because they trust the FDA of that country. And as we saw, or many of you know that already, in United States, the FDA unfortunately doesn't do its job, because if they would, we wouldn't see all of these industrial preservative, industrial artificial color, industrial artificial flavor, antibiotic in the dairy product, hormone growth in it, and the list goes on and on and on. Hydrogenated oil, like a palm oil, and GMO ingredient in it without mentioning it, which in California recently, or in the last few years, became like a law. So FDA, because people push them, they did so many protests. So now in California, they have to put that sticker on the packaged food or snack that is GMO or is not GMO. But unfortunately, in all other countries, they do not mention that. So they just say it's an oil or whatever, without mentioning is a genetically manipulated organism. So my point is, so do not trust or rely on the FDA. So you have to do your own homework. Otherwise, you will be a victim of the GMO seeds and basically industrial factories who make food. Could be snack, could be drink, could be food or appetizer or something like that. Okay? And I'm going to move on. I mentioned how to preserve the food naturally, to putting it in the glass container while the cooked food is hot. So you turn the stove off, you pour it in the glass container. If you do that, the food is better to be liquidy. If it's liquid, it's going to last a long time in the fridge, like even a month. But if it's not liquid, like is fluffy rice, it has to be eaten within 2 or 3 days. You put the hot cooked rice in that glass container. Immediately you shut the lid. Then just vacuum the inside. Then you put it in the fridge. But only 3 days because there is no liquid in it. But if it's liquid, then it's going to last a long time. If it's like a stew or something like that liquidy, is if you want to preserve it for a long time, same procedure, except you add 3 or 4 spoons of olive oil or flaxseed oil on top of it without stirring it. So the oil stays on the top, you shut it and you store it in the fridge. How I did it is in that video. Please go back and watch that then. So, but I didn't mention then putting the oil in it. So I'm making it more to last better with that oil. So of course the oil has to be organic. You can use olive oil too, and olive oil, you should not cook the olive oil. So always add the olive oil at the end. When it's cooked, then you add. Or if you are going to store it after you warm it up, then you add oil, not boiling it with the olive oil, because the olive oil has a low tolerance with heat, like above 100 degree. Of course, when you boil it, it goes to 100 or 110 or something like that. So it should not be heated. Or if you fry with the olive oil, it's even worse because the temperature goes to 300 degree, which it turned the olive oil or many liquid oil to like a kind of weak poison. And frying. The next subject is frying. You should not eat any fried food at all. Even you use a coconut oil, organic coconut oil, that in a long run is not good for your skin because and all other organs, because your liver is not gonna function the way it should, because your liver gets fatty, then it cannot function. So imagine sludge is in some system, or so it cannot function. So it's the same thing with the liver. So if you eat coconut oil, just a big chunk with the butter, or organic butter with the bread, and is much better for your body to process it than you fry it, then you eat it. So for me, it's been almost 40 years that I avoid any fried food, which many countries unfortunately fry everything first, then they cook it. So, and it's a wasting of the time too. I can make a delicious food, Persian, Italian, or Indian, Mexican, without frying anything. It gets ready much faster and tastes better and easier for your stomach, especially for those who are professional athletes, like who wants to go to Olympic and such. This is really important. Otherwise, you're not going to have good endurance. Next item is yeast. Yeast they put in the bread, gluten in the bakery world. Yeast is, if you go back 200 years ago or further, nobody would use yeast and the bread were heavier, and they would get dry after a day, or after 6 hours it would get hard. So yeast and some other chemical they put, so the bread is cooked 10 days ago and it's still soft, which should not. It should not be soft still. It should be get dried. Or it's still spongy. So if you get the English or British toast is loaf like this, if I squeeze it, become like a one slice of a real bread. Just I squeeze it, becomes this thin. It means 1 spoon of dough became a loaf. That's, it is light on your hand, but is very heavy or too heavy in your intestines. That is the main reason of some people have a big belly and is not fat, because their small intestines, which is 18 meters long, is full of yeast. They put in the beer too. So those who drink beer, alcoholic beer, the beer without alcohol doesn't normally, or most of the time, doesn't have yeast. So because yeast is the one who turns the sugar to alcohol. So the non-alcoholic one, 90% of the time, doesn't have yeast. And so the real ingredient of a bread must be water and wheat flour or spelt flour or something like that. That's it. Then with a little bit salt, maybe as a preservative. Then if you want to keep it soft, you put it in the plastic bag or some container, like a glass container, in the fridge. Like if it's lavash, you roll it, you put in the glass container, then you put it in the fridge. Then it's going to last a long time. So the real bread, if you put it on the shelf or something like that, is gonna, or if it's organic or if it's not, is a non-GMO, is gonna go bad, or it's gonna have a mold on it. Okay, so because of that, the real bread, it has to be in the fridge. If it's an industrial bread, no matter how many days it's on the shelf outside, doesn't go bad because of those industrial preservatives. So about the yeast, that is important to buy a no yeast bread, or you make it at home, mixing the water with the flour in the food processor, becomes a dough. Then you put in your oven, however shape you want it, thin, thick, or somehow. So that was about the yeast. And the next item is gluten. Gluten is not as bad as yeast for the body. The body can tolerate gluten much better than the yeast. So because so many people talk about gluten-free this, gluten-free that, but they never, or I've never heard anybody talk about yeast-free bread. That is surprising to me. All discussion is about gluten, but they don't mention yeast, which means a bread you buy, it could be big sign on it, gluten-free, but it has yeast in it. That means that doesn't help you much. The gluten is gonna help if you avoid it. That is gonna help you to have a better your throat and your sinuses doesn't, especially in winter, doesn't get clogged, or doesn't get thick saliva, which is so I prefer to avoid gluten, but is not like a I have to. So if sometimes I go to store and there is no gluten free, I buy the one with the gluten, but I make sure it has no yeast. There is an option, sourdough bread, if you heard about it. It tastes a little bit sour. That is a much better option than the yeast bread, because the sourdough, your body can handle it, and it's like a yogurt basically. So it's not bad for you at all, in my opinion. Sourdough bread is good. But I prefer to get the one without sourdough either. So it's like a dense bread. Like if I get the loaf, it is as heavy as a brick. And each slice, two slices to make a sandwich. If I make a sandwich with that, with, for example, avocado, nuts, and such, then that is gonna fill me up as a lunch. Just 2 slices. That's it, because it's dense. So that was about the bread, and we are going to move to dairy product. Number one, regardless of is organic or non-organic, it's important to avoid milk. So how to make if you really like dairy, let's say, avoid milk. Turn the milk into the yogurt first, then you eat it. Do not drink milk. Why? Because we did this as a test. It's not like a theory anymore, because we show the result. Milk brings the pH of your body down for sure. Unlike yogurt brings if it's not pasteurized, real yogurt, not pasteurized, not with antibiotic and such. If it's a real yogurt, organic, that is good for you, because brings the pH of your body up in a natural way. So that's why for those who wants to eat dairy, organic butter is good. Organic yogurt, that means is non-pasteurized. They sell it in organic store. So it says they call it raw yogurt. I repeat, raw yogurt is expensive, but for those who wants to eat, they can get it from villages. This is the reason 100 years ago, when the food was not industrial, you would see the fat on the top of the yogurt. It would become separate, same as the milk. The milk was beige color, not white. And the fat would come automatically on the top of the milk. You could separate it, you put on the butter and you eat it, or do whatever with that fat. Now, they do a chemical process in it, so the fat stays in the milk, and the milk itself is like a whitish, is white, which the real milk is not white. If you go to village and ask and the cow eats real grass, the milk is beige, is not, and tastes much better than the milk you buy from store, unless it's organic and such. So that was about dairy. For those who wants to eat dairy, organic yogurt, organic cheese, organic butter is okay, but the non-organic one, definitely no, for sure, because the animal is abused, and in many aspects, physically, mentally, and the food they give them is all GMO and animal waste and such. So I've seen those. I went to those industrial farm, is totally disgusting, and from 10 miles away you smell the stink, you feel the bad smell. But if you go to an organic farm, which is the cows are walking freely and they keep the farm clean, then the cow is happy. It's like a happy horse. And their neck are not sagging or hanging. But in industrial farm, the animal look definitely depressed, sad, and sick. They look very sick. Their skin, their face, their eyes, for example, the white part of their eyes is red in industrial farm. But if you go to a organic farm, the white part of their eyes is white, which is supposed to be. So I'm not going to go too deep about that. The next item is sinusite. Sinusite is so we got 4 sinuses, 2 here and 2 here. These are basically in the winter time, it may get infection. So how to avoid that is many different way. How to breathe properly. You breathe from your nose and you exhale from your mouth. So there's another chapter about breathing. I'm going to leave that to that. That's one of the elements. Second element is oxidated nuts, just like the one I showed you. That is going to cause the sinuses get infected. The third item is gluten. Fourth item is the humidity of where you live. For example, if in the winter time, humidity of the room or environment, it goes very down. That is one element of sinus infection or sinusite or sinusite, they call it too. So therefore, you need to get a humidifier for your home or for your room. And when you're at home, that has to be on, almost on the maximum. Colder it gets, more humidity you need. And in the summertime, you don't need that because the humidity goes back to normal. So this is the reason the rate of flu and corona in wintertime goes high and in the summertime goes low. So humidity is important. The next item is pollution. Like in some houses has mold, and it's hard to see it because people think, okay, I'm just going to clean the floor and the surfaces and around the sink, and is good. But unfortunately, mold hide mostly on the bottom of your window, the line on the bottom. If it's a sliding window, in a sliding area, they hide there, a lot of them. So that's one of the main reason people get flu or corona in their house. So the whole air in the house gets polluted. So that is one of the main reason of sinus infection. So another item is your flooring. If you have a carpet flooring, the owner of the house or the person who lives in that house, they need to learn how to clean the carpet, because most of people think, okay, I'm just going to vacuum it and it's finished. Unfortunately, it's not just like that. What kind of vacuum do you use? And if you pick up, is your vacuum cleaner filter is clean or not? Some vacuum cleaner causes sinusite. How? Because I turn some vacuum cleaner as soon as you started, all of those dust mites spread all over, and after that you start to sneeze. Your head gets heavy, your nose gets one or two of them clogged. The problem, you need to find and solve it, otherwise keeps coming back at you. It's been many times I went to the patient's house and then I found out the after filter of the vacuum cleaner was full of dust mites, which caused the sinusite or sinus infection. So I pulled it out and they would put in the new bag, but still after filter was dirty, not the filter itself. And some people, they change the filter late. They think the filter has to be full, then they change it. That is absolutely wrong. The filter has to be maximum half full. After that, the dust mites, they are growing in it every day. So they are alive, just like a bacteria. If that depends on how often you clean the house. If you clean once a month, so imagine the bag stays half full for half a year. So I've seen people, so I asked them, when did you change the filter last time? I don't remember, approximately 6 months ago. That is too late. Regardless of you change it or not, it has to be changed every 2 months, because we don't want that gets too old, because the dust mites grows in it, and then as soon as you turn the vacuum cleaner from the exhaust comes out, then goes all over and you breathe it. So that was important about sinusite or sinus infection. So the next item about the sinusite or sinus is the dairy product. So you need to basically reduce your dairy product in order to have a healthier sinuses. So because that's what it is, the dairy does that. And the next item is barbecue or baked. I've seen many times in a restaurant or in a supermarket or someplace, some bread or lavash is a Eastern bread from India or Persia or Afghanistan such. There is some burned spot on the top or under it, okay? Or sometimes under a pizza is black spot. That is burnt. This burnt food, or could be bread, could be meat, could be basically whatever, that is very bad for your body, is one of the reason of mutation in your cell or cancer. So avoid, if somebody serve you with the steak and or the barbecue and there is burned spot on the top, make sure you cut those off with a knife and eat under. So that is really important. Or if it's on your bread, separate them, then you eat the bread. And some bread has so many burned spots, so you have to just give up to just throw that in the garbage. Or the bottom of the pot, like a Persian cooked rice, sometimes burns on the bottom. If it's dark brown or is black, that must go to garbage, not eating. If it's light brown, is okay, but if it's dark brown or black, that part should go to garbage. So that was about that. And some people ask why a 30 years old person gets MS or their brain stops or they get many other diseases, which this is very strange comparing with 100 years ago, let's say, because in many reasons, or some people ask, how come a 4 years old car engine got the engine problem and still is under a warranty? You take the car back, if they are honest and if they stick with their warranty, good. But overall, they normally avoid that. They bring excuse, and this until the warranty gets expired, then they say yes, it's gonna cost this much for repair. But anyway, why a 4 years old Mercedes or BMW gets tons of oil leak, burning oil, so many problems? Of course, sometimes is from if it's the body is from the gene, sometimes the bad manufacturer is that, but most of the time, because the maintenance on that car, like an oil change, fluid change, was not done, so they ignore the maintenance or they abuse the car. So they rev the engine, they went over the harsh bumps and such, and release no tune-up. They just abused it and without any maintenance. If it's the body, it's the same thing. The person start to smoke, to drink alcohol, eating junk food, junk drink, junk snack, junk appetizer. So I'm saying junk. I told you why it's junk, so I don't have to explain every single one, because of GMO, because of industrial preservative, and on and on. So junk means that. So what do you expect? This body 30 years was tolerating all of this garbage. Now it cannot tolerate it anymore. Therefore, turns to a disease. So this is the reason it's important to take care of your vehicle and take care of your body. It's funny, I just made a note. Some people say, oh, this is an only 4 years old car, but it is not as powerful as the first day, because they didn't do oil change, and they use a cheap gas. Like the factory says this BMW must have only super fuel. That's it, it's in the manual. So I asked them, what kind of fuel do you use? We just use benzene. I said, wow. Even on the gas cap of your Mercedes, it says premium fuel only. What that mean? Did you read that? No, I just bought the car. And so the check engine came on this car, and I saw 20 or 30 codes, faulty codes. Same thing with the body. Patient comes, is complaining about many things. The list is like a whole page. Headache, clogged nose, weakness. The person cannot even run for 100 meters. Big belly, sore joint, and the list goes on. So these are the reasons, because the body needs maintenance. What you eat, what you are. This is what Americans say. So otherwise, it's just excuse. A person, I ask them, why do you smoke? Well, because I like it. I say, well, you like it, but how about your body? Does your body like it? They just want to, if the person is open-minded, is going to face it. say, okay, yeah, maybe I'm doing something wrong. I will work on to quitting it. Some people know, they just keep bringing excuse, and that's their choice. The next item, I think the time is enough, so I leave the rest for the next video. Thank you very much. Have a great day.